when they start to laugh.
I thought I'd just read an hour. The stuff I took hasn't kicked in yet, so I think I might be able to finish this. Then again, who knows if that hybrid kicks in edible? Maybe I still will be able to read. I don't know. But I'm going to turn this off. This is Calyx. Turn it off. Yeah. Turn it off. Getting some gray coming in here. Better cover it up or something. Yeah. Makes him look like an old man reading my stuff here. Who thought that part would look younger than this part now? Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, it is. The uglier part is holding up better than this part. Yeah. Okay. Where am I? Try to get something that darker to cover up that gray. It's not working. It worked kind of well. Yeah. Okay, it's not so bad. Not so bad. I think that not yet. It hasn't kicked in yet. I know it hasn't. Okay. Anyway. I'm going to try to continue reading my latest novel, the shorter version of it. That has a different ending from the way I originally planned. You know, that hybrid's kicking in. So it'll be interesting to see if I can, I have 20 milligrams of THC now get into my brain. It'll be interesting to see if I can read this. Anyway, this is from my novel called Jihad at Java Jills. And what I might publish later on, which is different, is the Cyber Crusaders. But this is Jihad at Java Jills. And this latest story is called A New Plan. When the cops arrived, Brian's friend was nowhere to be found. I'm hearing something. Maybe I'm hallucinating. I wonder. I guess this pod is making me hallucinate. I was hearing voices down there. Maybe they were, but went out there, no one was there. So, okay. Anyway, I'll continue to try to read this thing. Okay. When the cops arrived, Brian's friend was nowhere to be found. Your friend has tingled with us before, said one of the officers, a young, tall, handsome cop in his 20s. Okay. The pretty policewoman that was with him told Brian that he should get a restraining order against him, that he threatened to snap the necks of his mom and latest stepdad should they kick him out of the house and put a restraining order on him. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me get here. Oh, I didn't know that. Also threatening to burn their house down, said the male cop. Prison has a tendency to do that to you, said the female. Brian actually found himself trying to stick up for his friend, saying his first stepdad, he molested him, or so he claims. The female cop responded back with, when you're an addict or a boozer, it's always someone else's fault. They play victim to win sympathy out of you, so they will get, so you should give them more money for booze or whatever. Brian sadly shook his head for yes. Sadly shook his head. Sadly nodded. Should be not shook. Sadly nodded. Head for yes, I understand. Not shook, but yes, nodded. Okay. Brian thought, then said, "Oh yes, I understand. Then you need to put a restraining order on him because you are only enabling him," said the male cop. Brian thought, then said, "I believe we are put on this earth to serve God by serving those worse off than us." I believe we are put on this earth to serve God by serving those who are worse off than us. Serving those worse off than us, yes. Sounds like I'm speaking Greek. The female cop then said, "You aren't helping him if you are giving him drugs and alcohol by giving him your money." An hour later, Brian tried to sleep, but found himself pacing. He had guns, but didn't want to use one on his friend. Right when he thought he was ready for sleep, his cell phone rang. It was the derelict, telling him to meet him at the canal so he could cave in his skull with his fist. Brian remained calm and said, "How would you want?" Brian remained calm and said, "Now, why would you want to do that when you say I didn't hurt you because I punched like a pussy? You put 3 knots in my head, asshole. I'm going to kill you." "Oh, so I don't punch like a pussy. Can you get your story straight, please?" "Fucker, get out of here to the canal now." "Fucker, get out of here to the canal now." Brian smiled and said, "No, this, quote, fag needs his beauty sleep. Remember the gun I shot the Koran in front of you with on the side of the road that summer? Well, I reloaded it. So push me to fight you, okay?" "Yeah, so push me to fight you, okay?" And with that, Brian hung up and went to bed after making sure his car alarm worked. Or his car alarm was working. Instead of sleeping, he tossed and turned, worrying that he might have destroyed a nearly 60-year friendship with Daryl. Then remembered that he was dying of liver cancer. Then, remembering that he was dying from liver cancer, he thought to himself, "I'm going to sell this place dirt cheap, live up in the Berkeley Hills, and die up there before my $1 million rent is due." Brian finally fell to sleep thinking that the only good thing about cancer was it allowed one to get one's life in order. In the morning, Brian found one of his car tires flat. No doubt by the derelict, he thought. Well, I'm not planning on going anywhere just yet. After hiding the guns in what he felt was a place in the house no one would find them, should they break in, Brian had a for sale sign up. His plan was to sell the family house for half price, including all the furniture, books, and belongings. not even taking the family albums, realizing they were all going to end up in a landfill, whether he took them or not. No one would want these, he said as he looked through one of his old family albums for the last time. As he put the albums in the crawl space of his old family home, he went through all his old videotapes, most of him reading his books and diaries. He realized that he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good looking when he was in his 20s, yet he also remembered seeing some videos of his younger self picking his nose on camera and, well, licking the snot off his fingers. Brian tried to remember that scene most of the time so he wouldn't mind the fact that they were all going to end up all going to be in landfill. That they were all going to be landfill bound. Then in one box of tapes, Brian came upon a video that said, "My dad's 50th." Brian didn't have to play it, for he had seen it a few times before, where all his close relatives in it were still alive, young and healthy. Even the derelict was in a scene or two, never looking better. Brian felt that if he played it now, he'd burst out into violent sobbing. So instead of playing it, he put it in the VCR for anyone who might want to see it, as doubtful as that would be. On the tape was his grandmother reading her poems. One of them was of her reading the poem, "I Said a Little Prayer for You Today." Such a poem was later claimed authorship by several people. At the time, Brian thought for sure that his grandmother had written that poem and that it got picked up when she sent it into a poetry publishing company that published unknown amateur poets like his grandmother, thus making it so someone could steal such a poem and claim it as their own. As the years went by, a man with the last name of Zamboni, the creator of the ice skating rink cleaner, was the one whose name came up the most in authorship for such a poem. Zamboni, being the true author, increased further when Brian found a book of poetry he had made for his grandmother years ago that contained all the poems Brian believed she composed. Only the poem, "I Said a Little Prayer for You Today," was literally cut out of the book, possibly by his grandmother, either through her senility or possibly because she may never really have written that poem after all. Still, since he believed she wrote it at a certain time, Brian remembered a very low time in his life when he was trying to get his Class A license to become a long-distance trucker, and happened to come upon that poem in plaque form inside his trucking teacher's office cubicle. "That's my grandmother's poem," he told his teacher, pointing at it with tears in his eyes. The poem was given to his teacher as a gift from someone. "You're a liar," said the teacher with a seriousness in his eyes, Being that he later discovered that his granny possibly cut out that poem from the book he made her, he felt that, in a way, his teacher was right in calling him a liar. Still, though, for Mr. Richardson, seeing such a poem on the wall he took to be his granny's at that time was to him as if his grandmother came back from the spirit world to comfort him and shine a little light in the darkness. That maybe, possibly, there aren't any coincidences, and that there is an ultimate plan for us all, however bleak it might appear while we are alive. Brian Richardson took off to Berkeley to die in a nice place looking out over the bay. Will wonders ever cease? He asked himself, getting lucky with renting a small $1 million home with a nice view. The only thing he took with him were 5 laptops, a camera, and the DVDs. He changed his mind about only taking those when he thought of adding something later to his Lively account, making him go back for a family album and video of himself with the derelict and happier days. Yeah, he changed his mind about only taking those when he thought of adding something later to his Lively account, make him go back for a family album and video of himself with the derelict and happier days. He decided that in his last remaining weeks of living, he would write a science fiction novel with a Twilight Zone-like ending that would expose Islam. Brian noticed that on his Aloha Snack Bar DVDs and CDs, that whether they were CD or DVD, they all had blank spaces on the edges of them, allowing him to add more video to the DVD versions and writings of the CD versions. With such a case, he would have his DVDs having different parts of his novel read onto them in video form and different parts of his novel in computer print. The latter would be featured on the data-deficient CDs. Since he had so many DVDs and CDs, he felt he could make 5 exact copies, each containing the exact same video of him reading his novel, and he could make 20 CDs of the exact same thing, since they would reveal more of the novel in CD form. Those who wanted to learn about the novel more would have to find those on the internet who just picked up a CD, or a CD, not a DVD. Brian wanted 10 to 12 minutes of him reading his novel in video on the DVD, since such a time length was easy for someone to upload to YouTube-like sites later, should they choose to do so. 12 minutes was the cutoff for those just new with a YouTube account now. Since Brian felt that the novel was very revealing about him and very embarrassing, due to the sexual nature of the novel, Brian decided that this would be the one novel he would never publish, at least not in its entirety. It could only be published in whole, unedited, if those who picked up CDs and DVDs were not only many, but willing and able to upload them to the internet and publish it themselves. And if they did, they could then upload the videos on the data discs, videos of Christian Prince, David Wood, and more of his fellow cyber crusaders who he thought were excellent at exposing Islam, helping to bring it down before America went the way of Europe. Since it's a notebook data form, they can easily rewrite and change the novel to their own liking, improve it, and make it their own, thought Brian. I don't care if they make a fantastic Hollywood movie out of it, turning them all into millionaires, or send it to Japan and turn it into another Ghost in the Shell, or The Graveyard of the Fireflies, or whatever it was called. As long as they show how badly the Quran and Muhammad blow it in their version of my novel, they plagiarize, hey, that's all I care about. This will be my going away gift to the world. Brian watched the sun setting over the mountains near the Golden Gate Bridge from the deck of his house. Seeing the sun setting like it was nearly a complete replay of his, as he remembered it from near the, remembered it near from, as he remembered it, not from, near the precise same position when he and his parents visited friends in Berkeley, in the Berkeley Hills, when he was a toddler. Possibly only 2 years old at the time, he remembered feeling sad watching the sun go down due to the way the grown-ups were remarking about its setting. As the sun set now, Brian felt that if the novel failed to generate interest in finding out what happens to the lead character of the story, so be it, he thought. It's win-win for me either way. A bright side to a bad side and vice versa. If I bring down Islam with it, fantastic. If it's totally ignored, like I'm expecting, well, at least the novel won't embarrass me with its sexual nature. It'll be safely in the trash, protecting whatever perception people might still have of me. How much? Oh, I'm only 19 minutes into this. Seems like a long time. It's kicking in, making me, lose track of time. I'll continue. Brian viewed the novel as his one last ditch effort to create curiosity, and a need to learn about what happens in the novel. In the process, Brian felt he could create sleeper cells when he'd later pull off something to generate a lot of news and activate them, making it possible for those who would have the data disks in their possession to upload the videos of his fellow cyber crusaders when they'd type into their web browser, yet again, Project Independence Day or Messages from the Edge of Earth. I feel weird.
Films and schedule. Visit BAMPFA.
I'm going to try to play Calyx while I'm reading, okay? Yes, it's Calyx, my favorite station here in Berkeley.
All right. Next up for us, we have new music.
Brian decided to call attention to it all by making a video he later uploaded to YouTube. I'm going to go back a little bit here. Sorry. I'm so sorry about this. The THC is really, Okay. Okay, Brian viewed the novel as his one last-ditch effort to create curiosity and a need to learn about what happens in the novel. In the process, Brian felt he could create sleeper cells when he'd later pull off something to generate a lot of news and activate them, making it possible for those who would have the data disks in their possession to upload the videos of his fellow cyber crusaders when they'd type into their web browsers yet again the words Project Independence Day or Messages from the Edge of Earth. Brian decided to call attention to it all by making a video he'd later upload to YouTube, Lively, Dailymotion, and other video websites. In the video titled What Will Soon Be Added to Project Independence Day, Brian talked to the camera as if he was talking to those who had picked up the DVD version of Project Independence Day. After telling his possible future audience what it was about, he told them again that he would not publish such a novel due to the sexual nature of it, that the novel was not only created to stir buzz and an interest to discover others who had other parts of it on their DVD or CD that had in their possession to later, hopefully, bring down Islam due to the videos on it and those fellow cyber crusaders it would be calling attention to. But that Project Independence Day was also an experiment to see if God would allow such a novel to be discovered. Brian told his viewers that if Project Independence Day was discovered and went viral, then the pornographic element of the novel would be exposed as well. Brian told his possible future viewers that he'd be embarrassed no end, since the pornographic part of the novel would stem from his own sexual fantasies, creating something bitter sweet should Project Independence Day either become known or not known. It's win-win, as they used to say, said Brian. Brian went on and said, I've been doing this sort of thing for years. As you will see in one of the videos I post in the DVD version, it has been ignored all the time, to the point where I don't know if anyone picked it up or it went to the trash. I will let you in on something, though. It has been ignored all the time, to the point where I don't know if anyone picked it up or if it went to the trash. I will let you in on something, though. When I put this out there for the last and final time, I will, again, leave it all up to the Holy Spirit of God to either have it all ignored and tossed into the trash like it seems to have been, or leave it up to God to see if it is exposed. If it is, the pornographic element will be exposed as well, letting us all have a deeper understanding of God. I really have no idea. Thus, this is an experiment with God, since I'm leaving it up to the ultimate power to decide what to do with this. If I were a typical Christian, I think God would have it tossed into the trash because, again, due to the pornographic element added to it. If you read Ezekiel, it sounds like God really hates porn. A girl who loves guys who have, quote, emissions like horses has a bad end to her. In another part of Ezekiel, people are slaughtered for not complaining about something that sounds visually pornographic. They are marked on the forehead to keep them from being slaughtered if they complain about the part that seems pornographic. However, there is the Song of Songs, the Song of Solomon, that ended up in God's Word, and that seems built around an erotic nature, which could be seen as porn to some. So, where will this lead? If this is all ignored again, I'll know for sure that God does not want me to publish this latest novel of mine. So, is it Ezekiel God will side with, or will God side with Solomon? How I respond to Project Independence Day will point me to many others. It will point me and many others to another understanding of God, as videos that expose the errors of Islam are also brought to light. When Brian had all the CDs and DVDs ready, he headed for the BART station again. Although he only tossed down 500 of them onto the circular stone benches in the stations, he was shocked at how little energy he now had from the cancer. When he made it home, he was sweating profusely. He made a video showing how killer high his blood pressure was now. It was 280 over 150. Things are starting to go haywire, he said to the camera before uploading it to LiveLeak. It had been a couple of months since he quit taking his blood pressure medication. Still, he managed to dial a certain number without giving himself a stroke. The number of the derelict. How much time is just really weird now because of that. Also, it's only 27. It seems like long. It seems like I've been doing this for like hours. Well, I'll tell you what, that's how pot works, I guess. Okay, it must speed me up to make me think that I've been reading this for a long time. But I'll continue here. Okay, this next story is called Phone Call with Daryl. Phone call with Daryl. Calling to apologize, fucker? Daryl asked with simmering hatred. That is a very good question, said Brian. I was calling to ask if you want a rematch with me. What? Screamed Daryl with shock. You think you can take me? I would have killed you with just one punch if I wasn't holding back. Wow, I can't believe how stupid you are. I thought you actually had some brains, but not anymore. Wow. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it, fucker. Bring it, bitch. Are you in the area now? Oh, I hope you are. I hope you are. Let's do it in the park for my neighbors to see, okay? I thought you wanted to knock me out at the canal. I'm going to knock you the fuck out anywhere, bitch. Unlikely, said Brian. I used to box in college and fight in school as well. I never got knocked out. As a matter of fact, one time when these kids were throwing rocks at me, I actually ran full force into a tetherball pole, creating a bonging sound when my head struck it. All it did was make me see stars. Why were they throwing rocks at you? Was it for you being a fag? No, for I was never gay. Retard, on the other hand. Yes, it was for thinking I was retarded. I was one of those types who had a tendency to be off in his own little world in class. That's because you are retarded. Well, retarded or not, Brian said calmly, I'm going to fight you on one condition. What's that, fag? It has to be on video. It has to be video recorded using 2 cameras for 2 videos. Why the hell 4? You want your humiliation recorded? Not exactly. You see, I have a LiveLeak account, and on LiveLeak, losers like us punching their lights out get a whole lot of views. In the process of us not trying to knock the other guy out or killing him, it would help call attention to my fellow cyber crusaders who are excellent exposed in Islam. I mean, Daryl Daryl cut Brian off with calling him insane. You're fucking insane, laughed Daryl. Am I? And I'm not insane if I should just, am I? And I'm not insane if I should just want to get pussy and beer all the time. Okay, that's not insane. That's being a man. Got it. Beats the hell out of what you're doing, shouted Daryl. Ignoring the insult of being called insane, Brian went on and said, I have the description of video. I'd have the description of that video of why such insanity is taking place to call attention to number 1, Christian Prince, 2, David Wood, followed by Sam Shamoon, Alan Yesmar, Ahmed Karen 5, Craig Wynn, Robert Spencer, Pamela Geller, Jay Smith, Bridget. Insane! Screamed Daryl as he really meant it. You're fucking insane! I'll also mouth is becoming dry. I'll also bring up those names on the videos and tell the world that they are superb at letting us know just how badly the Quran entities blow it with science. Giving some reasons on those 2 videos, since it will be 2 cameras I'll be using. One I'll be holding in my right hand to capture your rage. Viewers will get to see what a real cowboy looks like when trying to kill them with his fists as you charge furiously at me. And in the process, Islam is exposed in your rage at me when it goes viral, should you actually kill me in the process. I don't plan on killing you, just make you mad enough to charge like an imbecile at the camera as you try to kill me. How's that? I can't believe how fucking stupid and insane you are with this Islam shit. Really, I can't. No one gives a flying crap about exposing Islam. Exactly, said Brian, because they don't know about Quran 9, 1 through 5, 29, 38. Yeah, Quran 9, 29, 9, 38, 39, 111. Quran 9, 111. They don't know that Muslims are allowed to lie thanks to Quran 328, 1616, and 225. Is that the last one? Is that last one right? Which is why we ended up with a Muslim president. Chicago nuked, and now we have blocks on us, making it very difficult to see videos that expose the threat Islam poses to the world. Due to such a lack of care, everyone is now going to soon have their asses up in the air 5 times a day, bowing to an old pagan shrine that was later destroyed and defiled by Abu Tyr of the Carmatians, when he then later used the sacred black stone as something to pee and poo on before returning it in pieces back to Mecca. All this wasting of one's life on a prayer rug to keep from paying the jizya tax when Muslims feel they are strong enough in. You're going to sacrifice me? Brian remained silent. Again, said Daryl, no one, I repeat, no one, except maybe fags, does shit about exposing Islam. And who cares? It's just like all the other stupid religions. My, how liberal of you to say that. Well, I'm not going to fight you if you don't agree to have it video recorded. And you will just have to live with the reality for the rest of your life that you willingly let some fag, some pussy faggot, some stupid asshole, some insane stupid faggot, some crazy motherfucker kick the living shit out of you. And get this, got away with it. Brian smiled wildly as he watched another sunset from his house deck. Oh, you are so fucking dead. So fucking dead, screamed Daryl. As Daryl paced about in the park, fuming on his cell phone in hand, Brian said on his cell phone, well, we'll see. The world may see it. For in my time of being away from you, I've written yet another science fiction Twilight Zone novel novel that teaches on how to expose Islam on the internet should it actually be published in its entirety due to possible collaboration on the internet should the DVDs and CDs containing that science fiction Twilight Zone generate curiosity. I've also flooded BART stations with those same CDs and DVDs containing videos that, if downloaded to YouTube or LiveLeak in mass, should blast open a doorway that just might let the world in on not only the great threat Islam poses to world peace, but the great errors Islam has in it. Errors when it comes to science, such as data disks, errors as it comes to science. Such data disks might make the world aware of taqiyya and how it allows a Muslim to lie and get our guard down with Quran 328, 61.6, and 225 in their minds. In the process, a Muslim may start doubting that he will have children, so-called virgins, to have sex with in that slothful brothel old Allah promises them in the sky should they obey Quran 9, 11, 38, and 39. That a Muslim might actually end up thinking that beating his wife, if he just fears rebellion from her, like he can do with Quran 424, is a bad idea. That being allowed to kill your innocent children, if you just fear that they may grow up to disappoint you or show ungratefulness toward Allah, is not only evil, but selfishly stupid. Yet, that is what is inferred in Quran 18, 74 through 81, creating honor killings. That being able to have sex with someone's wife just because she's your right-hand possessed slave, which you get with the first part of Quran 424, is, in fact, highly evil. That killing someone's slave just because they have killed your slave is very evil as well, yet is allowed with Quran 2:178. That forcing people who don't believe like you to pay a high extortion tax called jizya or risk death if they don't pay it until they become full-on Muslim, like you get in Quran 9, 1 through 5 and 29, is pure evil. Hey, you kill me or I kill you, as Spock says in The Wrath of Khan, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one. Well, as two loser jokes in life bash their brains out, which is apparently what you really want to do with me, it will be the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the two, me and you, since we really don't have anything else of importance to share with the world. Otherwise, bring it. Well, bring it, bitch, said Daryl with cold. Bring it, bitch, said Daryl with cold simmering fury. By the way, what I set up in BART stations I call Project Independence Day. If you've seen the movie Independence Day, you might do the math and know why I named it that. Project Independence Day is the title I will give for those who might actually pick up such CDs and such DVDs and CDs to rally around by getting in contact with those who have typed Project Independence Day into their web browsers as a way to find out what becomes of the lead characters in my novel, I'll have broken up into segments on those data disks. They will need to upload the segment of the science fiction I will have titled in the DVD portion to make it work. Each segment will have the name of the science fiction and the number for that segment. They keep the name and the number of that segment of video as they upload it to YouTube, LiveLeak, Dailymotion, or whatever, and bam. They then can also upload the videos on those data disks of David Wood, Christian Prince, Nal Nyasmar, Sam Shamoon, the late Nabil Qureshi, Ahmed's Quran 5, Craig Gwynn. I could go on. And hey, then, as they rally around Project Independence Day, it should be over for Islam if it goes viral. Daryl said with soothing hate, I bet you really think that fag shit makes you sound smart, don't you? Brian quipped back with, makes me sound smart? Why, I think it makes me sound like a fag. How's that? How's that? Are you making fun of me? Screamed Daryl with fury. Making fun of you? Making fun of you? Now, why would anyone want to make fun of you? Smiled Brian. Well, fag or not, it's a reality I've created. All I need now from you is your rage and fury coming at me on video. Bring it! Bring it! Yeah, bring it, bitch! Bring it! Shouted Daryl with fury. Brian thought for a while, then thinking of the creepy Kevin Spacey character in the movie called Seven, said, well, as far as that rematch is concerned, all I care that you bring to this fight is that you bring your wrath. Bring your wrath. Bring it. And become wrath. Become wrath for me. And with that, Brian pressed the button and hung up and button and hung up his cell phone. He turned again to the sunset and thought, man, if I were just 30 years younger, I bet I could actually possibly entertain a young, cute, sexy babe up here. She might have even loved me. You know something? This I feel really it's kicked in. It's kicked in. Yeah, where am I? Where am I here? Gosh, it's only 42. I almost went 2 hours. And it feels like I've been, like for 3 hours. And it's only been 43 minutes. Man. That's almost 12. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I'll try to continue this here. Okay. This next story I'm about to read to you is called Some of You Standing Here. I don't know. Okay, I'll try to read this. Anyway, this next story is called Some of You Standing Here. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know if I can read. I'll see if I can read this. You shouldn't do proofreading when you're stoned. And I don't think I'm able to improve this now. It will remain a rough draft tonight. Oh man. Heart's beating fast. Yeah, it's kicked in. I'll see here. Brian didn't want to come home and fight the derelict just yet. Brian realized that all he realized that all he did in the Bay Area was write a science fiction novel to then burn parts onto DVDs and CDs titled Project Independence Day, in an effort to help get people motivated to download the videos of his fellow Cyber Crusaders. In that time, he hardly did anything else except go into a coffee cafe, and again, just type out his novel, since writing with a damaged hand using a pen was slowing him down. As he wrote it and read it onto video to then burn onto DVD and CD, he realized it was not his best writing after all, making him worried that nothing was going to come about through Project Independence Day after all. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. After he wrote it and read it onto video to burn onto DVD and CD, he realized it was not his best writing after all, making him worried that nothing was going to come about through Project Independence Day after all. The novel sucks, Brian found himself saying. It is depressing and not very uplifting, he said to himself. Someone will come upon it and say, a Christian wrote this gloomy thing? God forgive me, said Brian. Still, Brian did go into that coffee cafe that one time, and in trying to write that novel, became sidetracked by talking with the barista, a tall, good-looking man in his mid-20s who struck Brian as incredibly intelligent, even though he was serving coffee and playing strange, crazy-sounding music in the background. Brian decided to go back to that cafe to see what the latest question of the day was this barista would put out for his customers to try to answer. Brian Richardson didn't want to spend so much time. Brian Richardson didn't want to spend so much time, so much of what was left of his life working on a novel. He had no intention of publishing, but just putting it out in a way that probably would just be tossed into the trash out of fear of contaminating a computer on the trash. Yeah. Oh, God. Okay. Brian Richardson didn't want to spend so much of what was left of his life working on a novel he had no intention of publishing, but just putting it out in a way that probably would just be tossed into the trash out of fear of containing a computer virus. He wanted to create a puzzle, not something worthy of Tolstoy or some other great Russian writer. He wanted to create a short and to the point novel that was very revealing about himself and those in his life. What the heck? He wanted to create a short and to the point novel that was very revealing about himself and those in his life. Creating the novel he really didn't want to publish. Okay, why did he create a show to put it real himself and those in his life? I don't get it. Why did he put? This makes sense. He wanted to create a short and to the point novel that was revealing, that was very revealing about himself and those in his life. Creating a novel he really didn't want to publish. What's a what the hell? Why did I write that? I wasn't even stoned when I wrote that. What the hell? His life. What? I don't get that. You want to short the point novel that was very revealing about himself and those in his life. Tush creating a novel he really didn't want to publish. What the hell? His life, Tush. What's this Tush stuff? He's not queer. He's not gay. What the hell? Was revealing about himself and those in his life. Creating a novel he really didn't want to publish. I'm gonna have to separate this because this, and then I maybe can work on it when I'm not blasted. I'm blasted right now. I'm just not me now, as you can tell. I think my voice is different here. Okay. All right. Man. What time is it? He's here. No. This is less than an hour. I think I will quit. Well, I'll see how far I go. All I know is I am fried. Oh my gosh. That THC kicked in. Wow. Okay, I'll try to continue. I don't get it. He wanted to create. Okay, I'll be back a little bit here. Brian Richardson didn't want to spend so much of what was left of his life working on a novel he had no intention of publishing, but just putting it out in a way that probably would just be tossed into the trash out of fear of containing a computer virus. He wanted to create a puzzle, not something worthy of Tolstoy or some other great Russian writer. He wanted to create a short and to the point novel that was very revealing about himself and those in his life. Creating a novel he really didn't want to publish. I can't believe how bad it seems like, and I wasn't stoned when I wrote that, but it doesn't make sense to me now, for sure. Okay, however, since such a novel was so intimate, Brian again felt it would be bittersweet either way if it should be discovered or not. If those who got a hold of a DVD or CD containing part of his novel actually carried out the instructions Brian put on his data disks. Oh, my writing's horrible. Or it's just because it doesn't sound right because I'm, yeah. However, since such a novel was so intimate, Brian again felt it would be, needs to be you. Oh, yeah. It'd be bittersweet either way if it should be discovered or not. If those who got a hold of a DVD or a CD containing part of his novel actually carried out the instructions Byron. Yeah, if those who got a hold of a DVD or CD containing part of his novel actually carried out the instructions Brian put on such data disks, and it became well known enough to bring embarrassment to him, Brian would then go to his grave knowing that people would then have the knowledge also to bring down Islam. You know something? I know I've just read this. Either I read this before or I'm having a big deja vu moment. It feels like I just read this a few minutes ago. Well, I'll try it again. If those who got a hold of a DVD or CD containing part of his novel actually carried out the instructions Brian put on such data discs, and it became well known enough, and it became not well known enough, but it became known enough, and it became well known enough to bring embarrassment to him. Brian would then go to his grave knowing that people would then have the knowledge also to bring down Islam. I know I've read this before. It must have gotten copied again in that same thing. That's going to make things hard to edit then. I want to write a short novel, an average Joe Blow kind of novel. Now that doesn't sound familiar. So what I'm doing is I'm repeating myself, it sounds like, in different ways. That's not good writing. Okay, I'll continue here. I want to write a short novel, an average Joe Blow kind of novel, nothing full of big words to make me sound profound. I want to make something the average Joe can relate to and not feel inferior to. I want to just create an average novel that is just interesting enough to have people united in sharing information to find out what happens to the characters I write about in the novel. That's all, said Brian as he went out onto the town of Berkeley, California one last time. Brian rode his neighbor's bike down Marin Road, glad that the brakes worked. Going downhill this way was fun, and knowing the conditions he was now in, he knew he'd have to use a transit bus to bring himself back to his house. In the town of Berkeley, Brian stopped off at a cafe shop and noticed an assortment of teas he never had before. As he stood at the counter, wondering what kind of tea he should try, he noticed a small blackboard that was actually a whiteboard. The blackboard had erasable Sharpie pen writing on them with the words "Question of the Day" written at the top. The deja vu moment. I feel like I've read this before, or am I backing up and reading it again? This is weird. Okay, I guess I'm just repeating myself. This is bad writing, folks. Oh, well. The blackboard had erasable Sharpie pen writing on it with the words "Questions of the Day" written at the top. Underneath the questions were, what is your favorite myth? I stopped at MITH. No. How come I'm picking this up when I'm stoned? Okay. Yeah. What is your favorite myth? And if aliens from space revealed themselves to you, what would you ask them? It's almost an hour. You know something? I think I'll quit it right here because this pot is really. I think it's making me a really lousy reader right now. And anyway, it's almost an hour of this. I'm going to listen to Coast. Hopefully I'll remember it. Yeah. All I know is I've got to stop now because I know it's going to ruin my reading ability. So Yeah, that THC is, yeah.